Well, let's go back to my first claim, and that is that critical reasoning or critical thinking is impossible unless you have some knowledge of the field that you're reasoning or thinking about. And so that a purely formal course in logic or even informal logic, that totally concentrated on looking at logical connections between statements and asking ourselves if they follow from each other or they imply each other, would not really be a course in critical reasoning and critical thinking, because you can only reason critically about those areas that you know something about. Well, that leads to certain problems with a course like this, because, of course, the implication is that if you want to be able to reason critically about politics, go learn about politics. Read the newspaper every day. Read some books about American history, about recent American history. Read biographies of contemporary politicians. Familiarize yourself with the vocabulary and the presuppositions of different political positions. That's how you reason critically in politics. If you want to be able to reason critically in physics, we take a course in physics. Read books in physics. If you want to be able to reason critically about art, take an art history class. Go to the museum. Learn about different painters, different cultures, and their art. And that is just a precondition. So you may say, well, why this course then? Well, that's a great question. Maybe this course, maybe, I don't know. Hopefully at the end of it, you will have the impression that you got something out of it that you couldn't have gotten from another course. But I'll leave that question open. It's a philosophy course. So in a philosophy course, we always have to be open to the possibility that what we're doing is a complete waste of time. Otherwise, it's not a philosophy course, right? Because philosophy is about questioning everything. If one of the things we can't question if we can't question whether what we're doing is worthwhile, then we're not really doing philosophy, if you follow. So it doesn't really bother me, the idea that ultimately it may be that a course like this is useless, because every philosophy course may be useless. That has to be an open issue, we have to be open to that possibility if we're really doing philosophy. Okay, so, but it is a very fair question. Well, what is this course for? I mean, if you're saying that I can only reason critically if I know something about the field, then I guess you're telling me to go off and learn something about different fields. Well, yes, in a way, yes. I mean, and of course, in a course like this, we can't sort of do a crash course in American history or physics or the history of art. We can't do that. We only have 10 weeks, and it would be impossible in any case to cover every field. But we'll look into the problem. I mean, one thing we can do, and we will do, is look into the problem of trying to reason without really knowing anything about the field, in particulars of the field about which you're reasoning or thinking. I mean, and how do we, what do we do to repair that? How do we find out different things? Okay. So, of course, this course is limited in what it can do. Every course is limited in what it can do. But to get to the issue here, what maybe our goal is, what does that word critical mean? To become more critical, I will be relying on the dictionary a lot. And my favorite dictionary, Noah Webster's 1828 American Dictionary of the English Language. It's not necessarily that it's better than contemporary dictionaries, but it's different. And perhaps more naive in ways that are helpful, in the sense that Webster, you'll see that. I mean, it's not that it's the only dictionary, but it's a good dictionary to look at. So I'll be explaining more why we're looking at terms every week, key words or key terms in terms of what we're studying. But this word critical is a very interesting word. It's a Greek word. It comes from originally from the Greek, and it has varied meanings. And looking at the history of words, looking at the history of the words that represent the concepts that we're dealing with, I think is part of what I want us to do to become more sophisticated and aware of the problems, the distinctions, the nature of the words that we're using. But if we just take a quick look at Webster's definition, different senses of the word critical, jump down to number 4, capable of judging with accuracy. And that's really, I think, incredibly important in terms of a course like this. Because after all, what is it that we want? We want to be able to judge with accuracy. We want to be able to judge whether statements are true. We want to be able to judge whether conclusions actually do follow from premises in the arguments in different fields that we are presented with. We want to determine whether the conclusions are true. We want to improve our judgment. And that really is I suppose, the central concept of this course is judgment. That will take us into different areas as we look at arguments. In some arguments, to judge whether the conclusion follows from the premises is pretty easy, and mostly those are deductive arguments.